Part 164. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1641. Even Tianxin Dragon Emperor must have selfish motives. If his children become immortal emperors, it will be much easier for him to control. And now, if Wu Jun achieves the position of Emperor Immortal, although it will be strengthened for the Tianxin clan, he will not have such strong control over Wu Jun. It is not a power that has absolute control, and of course it is not as good as a power that can be completely controlled. Of course, Tianxin Dragon Emperor has nothing to say now. His children do not have that talent. It will take countless years to break through to the realm of the immortal emperor. It is very likely that they will never be able to take that step. As long as Wu Jun can succeed, Tianxin Dragon Emperor will still have face. However, Tianxin Dragon Emperor had nothing to say, and it did not represent the children he brought. Tianying Dragon King and Tianyu Dragon King are now so jealous that their teeth hurt. When the Tianxin Dragon Emperor expressed his hope that the Tianxin clan could have one more Emperor Immortal, the Tianying Dragon King sneered first, "How can it be so easy to live forever as an Emperor Immortal? Maybe it's just a cover, no one knows that he has been running away all these years. Where have you been fooling around? Maybe you've committed something and you're going to use this as an excuse to hide. That is." The Heavenly Dragon King also said sourly, "How long has it been since there was a new Immortal Emperor Immortal in our Shenlong clan? Even if there is a new Immortal Emperor Immortal, there are so many geniuses and heroes in the Shenlong clan, where can we get this Wu Jun?" In short, they are feeling sour now. In fact, they know in their hearts that since Wu Jun said such words, he must be certain, at least there is a possibility of breaking through to the Immortal Emperor. But they didn't believe that Wu Jun could successfully break through. This was really embarrassing for them, it was a slap in the face. I think it's better not to say such things. Bai Yin Dragon King glanced at Tianying Dragon King and Tianyu Dragon King, and laughed, "Otherwise, my face may be swollen by then. Just wait and see. It's just a possibility of a breakthrough." "I'll say that too." Tianyu Dragon King sneered, not paying attention to Bai Yin Dragon King at all. "All right." Tianxin Dragon Emperor raised his hand to stop them from continuing to quarrel like this. This time he came here just to see the situation. Since Wu Jun really had hope of breaking through to the realm of the Immortal Emperor, he could just go back and wait for the news. Tianying Dragon King and Tianyu Dragon King also sneered, turned around and left with Tianxin Dragon Emperor. Wu Yu has been in the Fusion Tower. Seeing the dissatisfied looks of Tianying Dragon King and Tianyu Dragon King, he feels a little secretly happy. In fact, Wu Yu is the one who knows Wu Jun's situation best. When he was in the demon god realm, Wu Jun received many blessings, including a head of the world-destroying infant demon. He also passed the test of the secret chamber in the tomb of the Eternal Emperor and gained a lot of understanding of the Tao. Although there are many dangers, the improvement for Wu Jun is indeed great. In Wu Yu's opinion, the possibility that Wu Jun can break through to the Immortal Emperor is at least 80%. After Dragon Emperor Tianxin left with his people, Wu Yu explained to Dragon King Bai Yin and his wife that he asked Dragon King Bai Yin to visit Wu Jun and brought Fusion Tower with him. Wu Yu wanted to stay with Wu Jun and see how he became an Emperor Immortal. It might be helpful for him to take this step in the future and he could learn some experiences. After Wu Yu came over, he told what happened just now, that Dragon Emperor Tianxin brought people over to inquire about the situation. Wu Jun smiled casually, "It doesn't matter, let them talk. But in this case, if I can't break through to the Emperor Immortal, I'm afraid I will become the Shenlong clan is the laughing stock. The Shadow Dragon King and the Heavenly Dragon King will probably spread some unfavorable news to you everywhere, but you don't need to pay attention to it. Even if the retreat doesn't work this time, you can still succeed if you work harder," Wu Yu said. Wu Jun shook his head, "Emperor Immortal is not that easy. Although I have some insights, it is still extremely difficult to really take that step. Of course, there is no need to think about the consequences of success or failure now, as long as we understand it well. Just say it. The retreat officially begins. Wu Jun's retreat this time must be a long one, and Wu Yu is also ready to observe and learn from it. By the way, he can also study the era divine formation. Although it is impossible to achieve any results in a short period of time, a little progress counts. Progress is quite useful to him. In the Fusion Tower, Wu Yu had been watching Wu Jun practicing and comprehending the way to become an emperor. He was completely immersed in the immortal way. As his understanding of the immortal way became more and more profound, his whole body was bathed in the immortal energy. On this mountain peak, protected by the Taixu immortal formation, Wu Jun sometimes transformed into a human form, and sometimes returned to his original form as an ancient immortal spirit dragon. The immortal energy was constantly swaying on this mountain peak, making him look aloof and otherworldly. As time passed, Wu Yu felt more and more the changes in Wu Jun. The first is a change in aura. When Wu Jun was in retreat, it seemed that his aura was changing and sublimating every moment. The Nine Heavens Immortal King's realm, which was originally the 9th level of Taixu Immortal Realm, had no effect on Wu Yu. What kind of oppressive power? After all, Wu Yu himself has this level of combat effectiveness. But as Wu Jun began to retreat, his aura began to surpass that of the Nine Heavens Immortal King, and even Wu Yu felt a faint sense of oppression. Wu Yu can be sure that Wu Jun's retreat will definitely not be fruitless. Even if he almost fails to break through in the end, his realm and combat power after the retreat will be much stronger than the ordinary Nine Heavens Immortal King. Of course, Wu Yu still hopes that Wu Jun can make a breakthrough, which will lead to changes and leaps in the level of life. Emperor Immortal and Immortal King are completely different concepts. For Wu Yu, whether Wu Jun can become an Emperor Immortal is also related to him. Can you secretly go to the Holy Dragon Realm to see Luo Bin? This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. This feeling is like watching a mortal become an immortal. Wu Yu watched Wu Jun's retreat and practice, and kept feeling a little emotional, and he kept getting some insights from it. He has experienced the process of a mortal becoming an immortal, which is a kind of transformation at the level of life, completely different from the ordinary improvement of realm. Although Wu Yu can now escape from the hands of the immortal, he still cannot confront the immortal head-on. This is the gap. If he were an ordinary Nine Heavens Immortal King, he would not be afraid of any of them. Even if he cannot fight against several Nine Heavens Immortal Kings at the same time, Wu Yu can still use magical means to delay and use various factors to defeat the opponents one by one. His strength now is several times stronger than when he first entered the tomb of the Eternal Emperor. From mortals to immortals, from immortals to imperial immortals, these are realms where life levels rise. The lifespan of mortals is measured in hundreds of years, while the lifespan of immortals is measured in tens of thousands of years, which is increased by 100 times. As for the Emperor Immortals, it means eternal life. Eternal life is a different concept than a lifespan of millions of years. For Emperor Immortals, the concept of time has also become completely different. As Wu Yu observed, Wu Jun seemed to be detached from life. The aura of the fairy spirit enveloped him, and he was aloof. This was obviously a sign of transformation. Wu Yu had a feeling that Wu Jun could really achieve the realm of the Emperor and Immortal. In this kind of retreat, 5,000 years passed by in the blink of an eye. During this period of time, Wu Yu could already imagine that there must be many rumors about Wu Jun from the outside world, most of which must have been spread by the Tianying Dragon King and the Tianyu Dragon King and were unfavorable to Wu Jun. Of course, Wu Jun is in seclusion now, so it is impossible to know about these rumors. Wu Yu is also with Wu Jun, so these rumors naturally cannot be spread. But Wu Yu knew that Wu Jun's next performance would definitely shock the entire Shenlong clan. During these 5,000 years, Wu Jun seemed to have been accumulating and completely digesting some of his previous insights. But today, 5,000 years later, Wu Jun finally achieved qualitative changes caused by quantitative changes. Suddenly, Wu Jun transformed into an ancient fairy dragon and rushed into the sky instantly, letting out the roar of a divine dragon. At this moment, Wu Yu could see clearly from the fusion tower below, and saw endless auspicious clouds surrounding the sky for an instant, and the roars of the divine dragons spread throughout the entire immortal dragon emperor realm in an instant. Countless divine dragons looked shocked at this time and flew up from various mountain peaks. Dragons from other dragon realms also flew out to inquire about the situation. At this time, the dragons saw a white light coming from their ancestral land, the Holy Dragon Realm, piercing the sky and covering Wu Jun, the ancient immortal spirit dragon. Surrounded by a cloud of auspicious clouds, they began to a true transformation of the life level. This is the Holy Dragon Bath. A divine dragon who has experienced the Holy Dragon Bath can transform into an immortal emperor and achieve the position of dragon sovereign. Is this the ancient immortal spirit dragon that was rumored during this time, Wu Jun? Thousands of years ago, I heard Tianyu Dragon King and Tianying Dragon King discussing that it was almost impossible for this guy to break through and become an emperor immortal. Unexpectedly, he actually succeeded in breaking through. Tianyu Dragon King and Tianying Dragon King? How can you believe their words? They looked down upon this Wu Jun and thought that Wu Jun was lower than them. It turned out that it was better. Now Wu Jun has become the immortal emperor immortal. From then on we have to completely suppress them. Let's see what else they have to say. Hush! Don't let them listen to this. Wu Jun has become the Dragon Lord and has reached the sky in one step. They can't afford to offend him. But how can you fight with the Heavenly Dragon King and the Sky Shadow Dragon King? Speaking of which, how long has it been since our Shenlong clan saw the Holy Dragon Bath? This Wu Jun is really good. After so many years, the Shenlong clan finally has an immortal emperor. The entire immortal dragon emperor world is basically talking about Wu Jun now. From a distance, they could see a cloud of auspicious clouds above the mountain where Wu Jun was standing, as well as the holy white light bathing from the holy dragon realm. An ancient fairy dragon was completing the transformation of its life level. Wu Yu was the closest and felt the most profoundly. At this time, he clearly felt that Wu Jun's aura was more than 10 times stronger. If Wu Jun's aura was like the moon in the past, now he suddenly became the sun after his transformation. The aura even made Wu Yu feel a very strong pressure. This is exactly the breath of the immortal emperor. Wu Yu was delighted that Wu Jun finally succeeded and took the most critical step for the gods. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1642. A cloud of auspiciousness enveloped the area, and the holy dragon domain descended, causing all the dragons in the immortal dragon empire to turn their attention to this side. I don't know how many dragons are approaching this side at this moment, and even many dragon lords and dragon emperors are looking from afar in this direction. When Wu Jun officially took that step, the whole world changed color, as if the whole world was celebrating for him. Between heaven and earth, endless immortal spirits were floating in the air, and countless immortal clouds rolled in, surrounding the ancient immortal dragon. Wu Yu was closest and saw the clearest. The original Wu Jun transformed into the ancient immortal dragon, which had no pressure on Wu Yu, but at this moment, Wu Jun's pressure in front of him suddenly increased and increased, at least 10 times at once. This transformation is a qualitative transformation, a transformation in the essence of the life level, just like from a mortal to an immortal. The increase in lifespan has given all the immortal emperors the ability to live forever, and it has also brought about a qualitative change in strength. For the entire Shenlong clan, it is a more stable growth in strength. After all, as long as the immortal emperors do not die in battle, they will not die. Their lifespan will not be consumed completely. As long as there are no major wars, there will definitely be more and more immortal emperors in the Shenlong clan. Of course, it is extremely difficult to give birth to an immortal emperor. If you cannot become an immortal emperor, you will become an ant. This is the essential law of the heavenly court. This is also for an existence like Tianxin Dragon Emperor. Even if his grandson dies, he doesn't care. For him, the descendants who do not become immortal emperors will eventually disappear with the passage of time. Even if they don't die now, they will die sooner or later. But once you become an immortal emperor, it will be different. Wu Jun took this step and had a certain say in the entire Shenlong clan and even the entire heaven. Compared with the original, it is completely a world of difference. There is no doubt that Wu Yu is now somewhat envious of Wu Jun, who can truly take the step of transformation and achieve immortality and the body of an emperor. He is sincerely happy for Wu Jun. At the same time, he also begins to look forward to Wu Jun taking him to the Holy Dragon Domain to meet Luo Bin. If he can meet Luo Bin and take her away, then this is a double happy. From the immortal king to the emperor immortal, this essential transformation is enviable. In the surrounding sky, countless dragons gathered together to discuss the holy dragon bath scene that they had not seen for a long time. For them, achieving the immortal emperor immortal is their lifelong wish. Unfortunately, the dragon clan has not seen such a scene for too long before. The couple of Bai Yin Dragon King and Bai Qin Dragon King were also in the crowd. Looking at the ancient fairy dragon transformed by Wu Jun, which was covered with colorful clouds and bathed under the auspicious clouds, they couldn't help but burst into tears. It has to be said that they have a very good relationship with Wu Jun. In the entire immortal dragon emperor realm, Wu Jun is the one with whom they have the closest relationship. Now that he has finally achieved the right result, become the eternal emperor immortal, and entered the ranks of dragon lords, it is really great news for them. 5,000 years, it only took 5,000 years for him to achieve this transformation. It is said that his transformation this time is also related to the little guy Wu Yu. It seems that Wu Yu is really our lucky general. I just hope that he can have a good result with our Lupin. Bai Yin Dragon King sighed and said. With his talent, it is only a matter of time for him to become an emperor immortal, even much faster than you and me, so don't worry about it, Bai Qin Dragon King said with a smile. That's right, once upon a time, that little guy was really a little guy in our eyes, but now he has caught up with us. The growth rate is too fast. Such talent is rare in the entire heavenly court. Even those descendants of the Emperor Immortals cannot have such rapid progress. Bai Yin Dragon King's evaluation of Wu Yu has reached such a level. Even in his eyes, Wu Yu is much more talented than those sons of giant spirits, and there is no comparison. This is one of the reasons why they have always stood firmly on Wu Yu's side. Of course, the bigger reason is that Luo Bin's heart has long been tied to Wu Yu, and there is no possibility of any wavering. They will certainly support their daughter's choice. As the couple of Bacon Dragon King and Bian Dragon King discussed, countless dragons began to envious in the surrounding sky. To achieve the Emperor Immortal is to be eternal, which is the dream of all living beings. In the heavenly court, in the fairy dragon emperor world, there are only 1 in a million gods who can achieve the Emperor Immortal. This goal attracts countless gods to pursue it. Countless dragons gathered together in 2s and 3s to discuss, with envy and jealousy in their eyes, watching the scene here. The Emperor Immortal is almost an unattainable position for them, but now, a new immortal Emperor Immortal is born in front of them. In the immortal Dragon Emperor realm, once one achieves the realm of the immortal Emperor, he can be named Dragon Lord. Originally, Wu Jun was only a Dragon King, and there are tens of thousands of Dragon Kings in the entire immortal Dragon Emperor realm. But once he becomes a Dragon Lord, his status will suddenly jump to the top of the Shenlong clan. In addition to the 9 Dragon Emperors, there are only a few dozen Dragon Lords. The status and strength will rise to the sky, which are the benefits of entering the immortal Emperor. But the most desirable thing is the immortal life. This is the ultimate goal of the Shenlongs and even all the gods and immortals to practice. If you don't become an Emperor Immortal, no matter how long your life is, it will only be 1,000,000 years. Once that time comes, you will eventually turn into a pile of yellow earth. After who knows how many years, there will be no trace of your existence between heaven and earth. Once you become an emperor immortal, it will be eternal, that is, you can live as long as heaven and earth. Time will become completely meaningless to them, and their perspective on everything in the world will become completely different. If Tianxin Dragon Emperor was not a dragon emperor, but just a dragon king, then the death of a descendant would almost make him angry to death. However, he is a dragon emperor, so he doesn't care much. What he cares most about is his face. At this moment, Tianxin Dragon Emperor brought Tianyi Dragon King, Tianying Dragon King and Tianyu Dragon King to this area to watch Wu Jun become an emperor immortal. This scene of transformation attracted the attention of many people. No matter how much Tianxin Dragon Emperor dislikes Wu Jun, he can't stop him from becoming an immortal emperor and a dragon master. Behind him, the faces of Tianyi Dragon King, Tianying Dragon King and Tianyu Dragon King became extremely bad. They had originally vowed that Wu Jun's breakthrough to the immortal emperor was completely nonsense, just to attract attention, and there was actually little possibility of a real breakthrough. But now the facts are in front of them. They had spread the news throughout the immortal dragon emperor realm, but now, they felt as if the entire immortal dragon emperor realm was laughing at them. Indeed, there were many people around who kept looking over here, laughing privately and obviously discussing this matter. There were still many people in the entire immortal dragon emperor realm who knew about the conflict between them and Wu Jun. So before, they spread the word that Wu Jun was just talking nonsense and there was no possibility of a breakthrough, and they also wanted to make Wu Jun lose face. He was just a little dragon king. If this time it was really as Tianying Dragon King and Tianyu Dragon King said, it was just nonsense and failed to break through to the immortal emperor, then Wu Jun's prestige would obviously fall to the bottom after he came out. But Wu Jun finally did it. He seemed to give Tianyu Dragon King and Tianying Dragon King a loud slap in the face, slapping them hard on their thick skin. This time, no matter how thick their skin was, they felt like digging a hole in the ground and crawling in it. Because Wu Jun's transformation this time announced that Wu Jun was no longer on the same level as them, they dared not offend Wu Jun anymore, and even dared not speak loudly in front of Wu Jun, especially the rumors they had spread before. Now Wu Jun's breakthrough has swollen their faces. Tianxin Dragon Emperor didn't say anything, but it can be seen that when people around whispered about Tianyi Dragon King, Tianying Dragon King and Tianyu Dragon King, and laughed from time to time, Tianxin Dragon Emperor's face became very bad. Needless to say, Tianxin Dragon Emperor will definitely teach them a lesson after returning. After all, Wu Jun is different from them from now on. They don't think about making progress, don't practice well, but do some crooked ways to suppress and exclude others all day long. This is simply missing the point. Seeing Wu Jun become an emperor immortal, how much did Tianxin Dragon Emperor wish that one of his descendants could also achieve this achievement? After returning, I must urge them to retreat well and not come out without a breakthrough. Tianxin Dragon Emperor's heart was in turmoil. But now, in addition to Tianxin Dragon Emperor, other dragon emperors and dragon lords in the immortal dragon emperor realm have also rushed to this place one after another. For the Shenlong clan, the emergence of a new immortal emperor is a big event, even the biggest event in hundreds of thousands of years, so it has shocked all the dragon emperors. Tianxin Dragon Emperor is only the first to arrive, and other dragon emperors have also arrived one after another. However, they did not speak first, but watched Wu Jun's transformation quietly. The whole transformation was almost a feast. Everyone could feel the improvement and change of Wu Jun's life essence, and the leap in level made countless Shenlongs watching show envy. The dragon emperors and dragon lords also showed a gratified smile. The Shenlong clan has not had a new emperor immortal for many years, which makes them very faceless in the entire heavenly court. An immortal emperor can represent so many things. That is why they value Luo Bin's talent so much, because with Luo Bin's bloodline, it is very likely that she will become an immortal emperor in the future, which is of great importance to the Shenlong clan. Unexpectedly, now that Luo Bin has not grown up, another ancient immortal dragon Wu Jun has already taken this step. Many Shenlongs are actually at the realm of Nine Heavens Immortal King, the pinnacle among the Dragon Kings, but this step is something they cannot break through in their entire lives. You can imagine how difficult it is. Wu Jun's breakthrough shocked even the 9 Dragon Emperors. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1643. The 9 Dragon Emperors, including Tianxin Dragon Emperor, and other Dragon Lords gathered together, discussed for a while, and soon made a decision on the spot. Tianxin clan, the ancient fairy dragon Wu Jun, after hard practice and outstanding talent, has now received the Holy Dragon Bath and become an immortal Emperor Fairy. He is specially granted the title of Fairy Dragon Lord and will join the Dragon Lord Association from now on and become a member of the Dragon Lord Association. From this moment on, the Fairy Dragon Lord must take the overall interests of the Shenlong clan as the top priority. The 9 Dragon Emperors announced the news together. Fairy Dragon Lord is Wu Jun's title in the future. The members of the Dragon Lord Association are the decision-making class of the Shenlong clan, which is equivalent to Wu Jun being just an ordinary Dragon King in the past. Even if he died outside, it would not affect the interests of the Shenlong clan at all. But now, he is a member of the Dragon Lord Association, and every move can represent the highest will of the Shenlong clan. Apart from the 9 Dragon Emperors, the Dragon Lord Association is the most honorable. A large part of the major decisions of the Shenlong clan are made by the 9 Dragon Emperors, but the Dragon Honor Association also has certain decision-making power and is a very important core organization in the Shenlong clan. When the 9 Dragon Emperors jointly announced the news, it was equivalent to recognizing Wu Jun's identity. At this time, Wu Jun finally stopped slowly from the breakthrough process. His ancient fairy dragon figure was bathed in fairy air and flew in front of the 9 Dragon Emperors. Wu Jun is ordered to follow the teachings of the Dragon Emperor. At this moment, Wu Jun was also a little excited. In fact, he didn't expect that this breakthrough would be so smooth. Originally, because of the actions with Wu Yu and his party in the demon god world, he had a little understanding of the realm of the immortal emperor, which made him feel that he could try it a little. Unexpectedly, this attempt was successful directly, and even he was surprised. He was extremely grateful to Wu Yu. If Wu Yu had not taken him to the demon god realm, he would not have been able to take this step even after tens of thousands of years if he had practiced alone in the immortal dragon emperor realm. But now, he has ascended to heaven in one step and obtained the qualification to join the Dragon Honor Society and become an immortal emperor. This is something that makes him extremely excited. He has even waited for countless tens of thousands of years for this moment. Now he has finally succeeded. The feeling of satisfaction and strength after his own transformation makes him feel extremely happy. At this time, Wu Jun glanced at the 3 Dragon Kings Tianying, Tianyu and Tianyi behind the Tianxin Dragon Emperor, and immediately left. He did not look at them, but just said to the 9 Dragon Emperors, "When I was in seclusion, it seemed that there was a rumor that my seclusion would definitely fail this time and it would be impossible to successfully break through and become an emperor. But now I have proved the rumor wrong with facts. In addition, I don't know who spread this rumor. Don't they want our Shenlong clan to have one more emperor?" At his current level, he can definitely say such words. Now, he is the immortal Dragon Lord, and has joined the Dragon Lord Association. He is not at the same level as the 3 of them, the Dragon King of Heavenly Will. So if Wu Jun wanted to cause trouble to them in public, he could not do it. He could only say this, and secretly mock them from the perspective of the Shenlong clan. He did not say it clearly, but in fact everyone knew who he was talking about. At this time, the Dragon King of Sky Shadow and the Dragon King of Sky Imperial almost wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. They wanted to mock Wu Jun as usual, but they didn't know how to say it when they got to their lips. After all, Wu Jun is now the Eternal Emperor Immortal and a member of the Dragon Lord Association. When they see Wu Jun in the future, they have to call him Lord Dragon Lord. How dare they disrespect Wu Jun now? So the three of them can only suffer in silence now, and their faces seem to be slapped. They feel that the Shenlongs around them are looking at them with strange and mocking expressions, which makes them feel a little embarrassed, but in this situation, they dare not leave casually. Otherwise, wouldn't it confirm Wu Jun's statement? If the rumors spread, they would lose face even more. Fortunately, Tianxin Dragon Emperor spoke quickly. He said calmly, "Yes, if there are similar rumors in the future, whoever spreads them will be held accountable. It is a good thing for my Shenlong clan to have one more immortal emperor. How can we spread negative remarks like this? Say this, it means that he does not intend to pursue the previous things. But after this, if anyone dares to say anything more, he will definitely punish him, even his descendants are no exception." The other Dragon Emperors have no opinion on Tianxin Dragon Emperor's handling. They can see that Wu Jun is in a good mood now, and he said that just to vent, without much malice. In this case, there is no need to take it too seriously. In this case, Xianling Dragon Lord, you should prepare. You will be officially named Xianling Dragon Lord in 3 days, and there will be a month of ancestor worship. You will enter the Holy Dragon Domain with the Dragon Lord Association. The affairs are a bit busy, but you must remember that you cannot be absent. A Dragon Emperor said to Wu Jun with great dignity. "Junior obeys your command." Wu Jun immediately bowed. In the entire heavenly court, if a new immortal emperor appears somewhere, it will definitely attract the attention of the entire heavenly court, and people from all directions will come to congratulate. So Wu Jun will definitely be very busy in the future. He has just broken through and is basically in the best condition. He doesn't need to rush to practice for the time being. For Wu Jun, although becoming an immortal emperor is the most important thing in his life, he can't forget the matter of Luo Bin. So next, he basically began to prepare to take Wu Yu into the Holy Dragon Domain to find Luo Bin. The main thing was to inquire about some news within the scope of the Dragon Honor Society, communicate with other Dragon Honors, and obtain some information about the Holy Dragon Domain. Other Dragon Emperors and Dragon Honors had already entered the Holy Dragon Domain, and he had just broken through and joined the Dragon Honor Society, and had not yet been to the Holy Dragon Domain. However, the information he got from other Dragon Honors was limited. In order to avoid alerting the enemy, he did not dare to ask about Luo Bin in detail, not to mention that these ordinary Dragon Honors might not know about Luo Bin's situation. Mainly, Tianxin Dragon Emperor was in charge of Luo Bin's affairs, but it was a pity that Wu Jun could not ask Tianxin Dragon Emperor. Wu Jun's transformation this time caused waves throughout the heavenly court. A new immortal emperor appeared in the Shenlong clan, and a Xianling Dragon Honor was born. This news quickly spread throughout the heavenly court. Next, some forces in the heavenly court kept coming to give gifts and congratulate. When Wu Jun was officially named Immortal Spirit Dragon Lord, all the forces in the heavenly court sent representatives. It is said that the ancient giant spirit god, the heavenly king of the state, etc. came to give gifts. It can be said that it was a grand occasion in the Immortal Dragon Empire. Wu Yu did not participate in the occasions where so many immortal emperors gathered. After all, even in the floating life tower, there might be some clues revealed, and some immortal emperors with great magical powers would be discovered, which would not be beautiful. Wu Yu stayed on Qinyan Peak and tried to comprehend various epical divine formations in the floating life tower. Of course, he had not made any breakthrough progress for the time being, but he just didn't want to waste time. Anyway, the epical divine formation would need to be comprehended sooner or later. Wu Yu did not participate in the four-way congratulations. He only knew that the immortal dragon empire where the Shenlong clan was located was extremely lively during this period. There were constantly forces and emperors from the heavenly court coming to congratulate and send gifts. The gifts Wu Jun received were priceless. This is the benefit of becoming an emperor immortal in the heavenly court. Once you become an emperor immortal, many forces will come to make friends with the emperor immortals. After all, the lifespan of the immortal emperor immortals is endless, and it will take too long to deal with them in the future. It will definitely not hurt for them to come and give gifts now and make friends first. Wu Yu had no time to participate in this excitement, including the White Qin Dragon King and the White Yin Dragon King. They were not qualified to participate in many occasions. The main reason was that if the one who came to congratulate was an emperor immortal, then he must be the Dragon Lord or even the Dragon Emperor of the Shenlong clan to greet him. The status must be consistent, otherwise it would give people a feeling of disrespect for them. In addition, a grand banquet was held in the entire Xianlong Emperor realm, which was the Xianling Dragon Lord Banquet. At the banquet, countless delicacies from the mountains and the sea, and rare immortals were placed on the table, which was dazzling and overwhelming. These things are all rare in normal times, and eating them is very beneficial to the gods. Now there are too many of them at one time, and almost every Dragon King is qualified to enjoy some top immortals, so as to get some improvement in cultivation. Wu Jun's becoming the Dragon Lord also made many Dragon Kings secretly work hard to become the eternal Emperor Immortal. By then, it would be their turn to be in the limelight. Wu Yu did not participate in any of these things. After all, he could not appear in these public occasions. Even if he just showed his face, it could bring him a devastating blow. However, the ancestor worship of the Shenlong clan in the next month was crucial to Wu Yu, because this was the first time Wu Jun would step into the Holy Dragon domain after becoming the Eternal Emperor Immortal. This was also Wu Yu's only chance to enter the Holy Dragon domain and find Luo Bin. Originally, when he was in the demon god realm, the situation was tense, but Wu Yu didn't feel much at that time. But now, his chance for Luo Bin spread from the bottom of his heart like a volcanic eruption, making him almost not want to wait for a moment. He and Luo Bin had been separated for too long, and Luo Bin was also sealed in the Holy Dragon domain and was under house arrest by the Tianxin Dragon Emperor. Compared with Wu Yu, the pain of missing her was probably even deeper, which made Wu Yu feel a little distressed when he thought about it, and he wished he could appear in front of Luo Bin immediately. After a difficult wait, a month finally passed. The major ancestor worship activity of the Shenlong clan is finally coming. The 9 dragon emperors gathered on this day. The Dragon Honor Society, including Wu Jun, had exactly 50 members, and they all gathered together, without a single one absent. No matter where the members of the Dragon Honor Society were originally, they had to return to the immortal Dragon Emperor realm on this day of ancestor worship, unless they really couldn't come back. The 50 Dragon Honors and the 9 Dragon Emperors all had solemn expressions, gathered together, and prepared to worship the ancestors, and the place for worshipping the ancestors was the Holy Dragon domain, where Luo Bin was now. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1644. The Holy Dragon domain is the sacred place of the Dragon clan. Only the Dragon clan of the Eternal Emperor Immortal level is qualified to be buried here after death. Of course, the Dragon clan of the Eternal Emperor Immortal level who died must have died in battle, otherwise they would not have lost their lives. Therefore, those buried here are all heroes in the history of the Dragon clan. They are all big figures in the Dragon clan, and there are many former Dragon Emperor level strongmen. Wu Yu is in the floating life tower, and then Wu Jun takes the floating life tower with him. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. He is a little excited now. He hasn't seen Luo Bin for too long. Just imagining the scene of meeting Luo Bin makes him a little excited. Missing can torture a person crazy. Although Wu Yu is not crazy now, he is almost there. If he has no chance to see Luo Bin again, he might want to force his way into the Holy Dragon domain. Wu Jun joined the Dragon Lords of the Dragon Lord Association. A total of 50 Dragon Lords, plus the 9 Dragon Emperors, are the lineup of the Shenlong clan's ancestor worship this time. The 9 clans of the Shenlong clan are, Fengli clan, Huoming clan, Haiwan clan, Liming clan, Jinhuan clan, Mixu clan, Hutu clan, Lianshen clan, and Tianxin clan. Each of these 9 clans has a Dragon Emperor, and Tianxin Dragon Emperor is one of them, the Dragon Emperor of Tianxin clan. These 9 clans have a long history and have existed for many years. Wu Jun is still a new Dragon Lord. He is not very noticeable among the 50 strong men of the Dragon Lord Association, but there are still many Dragon Lords who come to communicate with him. As long as you achieve the Eternal Emperor Immortal, there will be unlimited possibilities in the future, and you may even become a figure of the Dragon Emperor level. Therefore, once a new Immortal Emperor appears and joins the ranks of the Dragon Honor Society, other Dragon Honors will definitely come to chat and exchange ideas. Of course, there are also factions in the Dragon Honor Society, but it is not so obvious. Basically, some Dragon Honors are not in harmony with others, and some Dragon Honors are on good terms with others. But in the occasion of the ancestor worship of the Shenlong clan, even those Dragon Honors who are not in harmony with each other dare not say much now. At most, they will stare at their enemies. It is impossible to say more to destroy the atmosphere, otherwise they will become sinners. The difference between this ancestor worship and the past is that there is one more Wu Jun. Many Dragon Honors came over and wanted to chat with him and make some friends. This made Wu Jun a little nervous. He could only hide the floating life tower well, so as not to be discovered by other Dragon Honors. Even if there was only a little suspicion, his idea of bringing Wu Yu into the Holy Dragon domain today would be completely ruined. Wu Yu is still quite grateful to Wu Jun now. After all, Wu Jun has now achieved the status of an immortal emperor and has become a member of the Dragon Honor Society of the Shenlong clan. His status and identity are very noble, but he still took the risk to bring him to the Holy Dragon domain, the sacred place of the Shenlong clan. Once the matter is discovered, Wu Jun will definitely be punished, and it will even affect all aspects of his future in the Dragon Honor Society. But he took Wu Yu with him without hesitation, without even considering it. This is his promise to Wu Yu. Let's go. Following the actions of the 9 Dragon Emperors, a group of immortal emperors of the Shenlong clan came to a solemn place. One tomb after another, built magnificently, appeared in front of many Shenlongs and also in front of Wu Yu. Other Shenlongs have long been accustomed to the scenes in the Holy Dragon domain, but Wu Jun is here for the first time, so he looks around curiously, and other Shenlongs will not be too suspicious. Wu Yu and Wu Jun both felt that this place was a bit like the Eternal Emperor burial, but the scale was not that large. After all, the number of Eternal Emperor Immortals born in the Shenlong clan from ancient times to the present could not be as many as the entire demon god realm. However, the Shenlong tomb in the Holy Dragon domain was more solemn, and glorious than the Eternal Emperor burial. After all, the Eternal Emperor burial was only used to bury the bodies of the Emperor demons, to nourish their descendants, and to avenge them. And these Shenlong tombs were built for the descendants of Shenlong to admire and worship. This is the tomb of dragon origin. Soon, they came to the most central position of the entire Holy Dragon domain, and a colorful vortex appeared in front of them. That was the Dragon Origin tomb in the center of the Holy Dragon domain, which was the first place they were going to worship. Because this Dragon Origin tomb was said to be the birthplace of the Shenlong clan, it had a very sacred status for the Shenlong clan. The tomb of Dragon Origin is located above the colorful vortex in front. It is a colorful tomb. Nothing is buried in it. It is just used to represent the origin of the Shenlong clan for people to pay homage to. As for the legendary dragon ancestor, since he has not been confirmed dead, there is definitely no tomb. Wu Jun came to the Holy Dragon domain for the first time and worshipped the tomb of dragon origin. He couldn't help but feel a little respectful. The birth of the Shenlong clan can be traced back to too long ago. There is no clear statement about how they were born. This tomb of dragon origin is the birthplace of the Shenlong clan in the legend. It should be true. I just don't know how such a mysterious creature as the Shenlong clan was born in such a colorful vortex. Under the auspices of the 9 dragon emperors, the 50 dragon lords of the Dragon Lord Association also gathered together and began the process of worshipping the tomb of dragon origin. This process is quite serious, and no Shenlong dared to communicate privately at this time. After Wu Yu came in, his mind was completely focused on Luo Bin, but until now he still didn't know where Luo Bin was under house arrest, how to see her, and whether there was a strong immortal formation around her, preventing her from leaving and letting others in. Wu Yu didn't know anything. He could only wait. After they finished worshipping the tomb of Long Yuan, they would not be so serious. Maybe the senior Longzun would reveal something. Wu Yu waited quietly and watched the dragons worshipping the tomb of Long Yuan. All the dragons turned into their true bodies. All kinds of rare blood dragons appeared in front of Wu Yu one by one. This can be said to be a clan of dragons. The strongest lineup and all kinds of rare bloodlines are gathered together. In comparison, Wu Jun's ancient immortal spirit dragon is not a very rare bloodline. However, as a divine dragon who has just stepped into the Immortal Emperor Immortal, his aura of the new Immortal Emperor Immortal is still quite obvious, and he is also among the dragons. Appear eye-catching. If he usually saw so many dragons with rare blood appearing, Wu Yu might have been surprised and sighed, but now, his mind was not on that at all. No matter how powerful these dragons are, they have nothing to do with him. He just wants to see his concubine. There are many procedures for worshipping Lan Jiayuan's tomb, and they are quite complicated. After all, it is a worship ritual that has been passed down for a long time. However, Wu Yu did not pay attention at all, but felt that time passed quickly. It took 3 days to worship the tomb of Long Yuan. It was mainly to respect the place where the Shenlong clan was born, so that they all kept their expressions solemn. However, after 3 days, the worship was over, and the Dragon Lords of the Dragon Lord Association became relaxed and somewhat casual. After the ceremony, there was no need to be tense, and several dragon emperors began to communicate softly. At this time, Wu Yu was watching in all directions and listening in all directions. He might be able to get news about Luo Bai. After a while, as expected, several dragon emperors were discussing Luo Bai's affairs. Not surprisingly, from their discussion, they heard that Luo Bin was in the tomb of Long Yuan. It turns out that the concubine Luo is in this colorful tomb. This is the source of the birth of the Shenlong clan, and its spiritual energy can be said to be the best in the entire Immortal Dragon Emperor realm. It seems that the Shenlong clan is really optimistic about her and wants to cultivate her. Wu Yu was excited, but it was impossible for him to act now. At this time, he didn't know if there were any restrictions or immortal formations around the colorful tomb. If he went in and was trapped, Tianxin Dragon Emperor would arrest him without even seeing Luo Bin. If you live there, that would be very bad. He continued to observe secretly in the Fusion Tower. In order for him to hear the conversation of the Dragon Emperors clearly, Wu Jun deliberately moved closer to the direction of the Dragon Emperors. Sure enough, next, a Dragon Emperor asked Tianxin Dragon Emperor, "Tianxin, how long are you going to lock Luo Bin here?" It seemed that the other Dragon Emperors were somewhat dissatisfied with his move. "Everyone, I can't help it. Wu Yu escaped last time. Luo Bin's heart is not with us. She is still young and easily confused." Tianxin Dragon Emperor sighed. "You set up an immortal formation on Long Yuan tomb to prevent her from moving around. Otherwise, let her run around and cause trouble." Tianxin Dragon Emperor shook his head. The Dragon Emperors are all very concerned about Luo Bai. After all, Luo Bai is the descendant of the dragon ancestor. Her future achievements will not be as simple as the immortal emperor immortal. Every time there is an immortal emperor immortal in the Shenlong clan, their strength will increase greatly, so that he will not let go of any younger generation who has the potential to become an emperor immortal. Luo concubine is the one they pay the most attention to. There is only one Taixu immortal formation to prevent Luo Bin from coming out, so it is not difficult for me. As soon as I see Luo Bin, I can take her out of here with somersault clouds. Wu Yu thought in his heart. The conversation between the dragon emperors was really real. It gave him a lot of convenience. This is why the dragon emperors did not expect outsiders to come in a place like the Holy Dragon Domain, so they were completely unprepared. After resting for a while, the 9 dragon emperors took the dragon lords and left the tomb of Long Yuan, preparing to go to other places to worship the tombs. Wu Jun had no choice but to follow. But before Wu Jun left, he quietly left the fusion tower in place without any dragon noticing. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1645. While the 9 dragon emperors and all the immortal emperors and immortals of the entire Dragon Sovereign Association had left the tomb of Long Yuan in the center, Wu Yu finally quietly came out of the fusion tower. He did not take action immediately, but waited until the Dragon Emperor and Dragon Lords were far away before finally approaching the tomb of Long Yuan. He found that Tianxin Dragon Emperor had casually set up the Taixu Immortal formation to prevent Luo Bin from leaving. He climbed several levels, but fortunately these immortal formations couldn't stop him. What's more, these immortal formations are closed to the inside and outside, so Wu Yu can easily break into them. He approached the tomb of Long Yuan and looked at the colorful whirlpool. He was still a little solemn about the birthplace of the dragon clan, but now was not the time to feel emotional. He quickly flew towards the colorful tomb, touching several layers of Taixu Immortal formation along the way. Although the Taixu Immortal formation did not stop him, he felt that as he touched the Taixu Immortal formation, during the Immortal formation, some kind of fluctuation seemed to spread out. There is actually a messenger formation in this. As long as someone passes by, they can find it and send a message. Wu Yu was a little surprised, but it was normal for Tianxin Dragon Emperor to set it up like this. Even in a place like the Holy Dragon Domain, there was no guarantee that anyone would be able to sneak in quietly. So to be on the safe side, he set up a messenger array so that he would know once someone passed by. In other words, now, Tianxin Dragon Emperor already knows that someone has broken into the Long Yuan tomb here. We must act quickly. Wu Yu immediately became nervous and walked quickly through the tomb of Long Yuan. In this closed and simple space, there seemed to be a kind of magic that attracted him, leading him towards a certain small room in it. Not long after, he finally saw Luo Bin, who was in retreat. After not seeing each other for so many years, Luo Bai was still as graceful and charming as ever, and Wu Yu was stunned at first sight. This figure had appeared countless times in his dreams. To this day, finally able to see her again. Wu Yu. When Wu Yu broke in, Luo Bin naturally felt a familiar presence approaching, waking her up from her retreat. In fact, it has been difficult for her to calm down in practice for so many years. The occasional calm down does not last long. After all, she is under house arrest here, and Wu Yu's life or death is uncertain outside. Her worries about Wu Yu make her she couldn't be completely reassured. But now when I saw Wu Yu again, I found that Wu Yu was not only fine, but also had an extremely powerful aura. How could Luo Bin not be surprised? Yu Ren stood up, and Wu Yu stepped forward and gave her a big hug, pulling her into his arms. I finally see you. Do you know how much I miss you these days? I missed you too. How did you get here? Luo Bin's crystal eyes shone with surprise and joy. For her, now seemed to be the happiest moment in the world. At first, she had some doubts about whether it was a hallucination or something, but when Wu Yu hugged her, she knew that it was all true. How wonderful would it be if this hug could last forever? It's a long story. We have to leave now, otherwise Tianxin Dragon Emperor will come after us. Wu Yu knew that now was not the time to talk, so he wanted to take her out first. Come on, come in. Wu Yu held the Fusion Tower and asked Luo Ben to enter it first. Luo Ben did not hesitate and entered the Fusion Tower directly. Then Wu Yu took the Fusion Tower and flew towards the tomb of Long Yuan, wanting to leave here quickly. As for where to go, he had not thought about it anyway. Just not here. Even if you go to the demon god realm, it will be much better than here. In the world of demons and gods, even the immortal emperor and immortal will never be found. By then, Wu Yu and Luo Ben can be free and happy. A brief lingering relationship was not what Wu Yu was after, so he didn't waste any time and broke through directly outside. Unfortunately, Tianxin Dragon Emperor's reaction speed was extremely fast. When Wu Yu flew out of the tomb of Long Yuan, he saw that Tianxin Dragon Emperor had arrived in front of the tomb of Long Yuan, and the other 8 Dragon Emperors and the dragons from the Dragon Master Society were also on their way, and they were in the sky in the distance. It's majestic, mighty and mighty. It's late. Wu Yu did not panic, but quickly calmed down, took the Fusion Tower, and confronted him in front of Tianxian Dragon Emperor. Now, his strength is much stronger than when he fled from heaven. He can dodge and escape even the methods of the immortal emperor. Although it was impossible to defeat the immortal emperor, for Wu Yu, as long as the opponent couldn't catch him, it would be fine. It's you. Tianxin Dragon Emperor was a little surprised when he felt that someone had broken into Lan Jiayuan's tomb. He didn't know who dared to bring trouble to the entire Shenlong clan at this time. When he arrived at the tomb of Long Yuan, he happened to see Wu Yu coming out of it. He immediately understood everything and couldn't help but became furious. Boy, how dare you come back? Not only did you come back, you also dared to come to the most sacred place of the Shenlong clan. It's just looking for death. After the words fell, Tianxin Dragon Emperor did not hesitate at all and directly used his capture method towards Wu Yu. He took action with his body, and 9 giant dragon claws suddenly condensed in the clouds. These 9 giant dragon claws fell from all directions and grabbed Wu Yu's place. In just an instant, Wu Yu's 4 claws were captured. The surrounding void is completely sealed. If it were another person who had not reached the immortal emperor immortal realm, it would be impossible to escape. Tianxin Dragon Emperor could easily capture him with just one move. It's a pity that the Tianxin Dragon Emperor is now facing Wu Yu, and Wu Yu is already close to the strength of the Eternal Emperor. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. When he was buried in the Eternal Emperor of the Demon God realm, he had grown to the point where he could fight against 2 opponents at the level of the 9 Heavens Demon King at the same time, and he was not at all inferior and could defeat the opponent. And now, his strength is more condensed. When the 9 giant dragon claws fell from the clouds and grabbed him, he quickly turned over, and the magical power of the somersault cloud burst out, taking him away from the blocked void area in an instant. He appeared in another direction in the sky, which made the Tianxin Dragon Emperor slightly startled. Obviously, he didn't expect Wu Yu to escape his capture. If someone had told him before that Wu Yu could escape from his control, he would definitely sneer. Isn't he just a stinky boy in the realm of the Immortal King? How dare he fight against the Dragon Emperor of the Eternal Emperor? But now he was shocked. Wu Yu just somersaulted and actually jumped out of the void he had closed. The 9 giant dragon claws all grabbed the empty space. Is this still the little boy in the Immortal King realm back then? Wu Yu stabilized his body, and the other 8 Dragon Emperors and the Shenlong clan of the Dragon Honor Association all surrounded him. So many immortal emperors surrounded him together, but he didn't feel nervous. One Tianxin Dragon Emperor couldn't catch him, and the 9 Dragon Emperors joined forces, so he was not worried at all. It was just a little troublesome to leave the Holy Dragon domain, not to mention that Wu Jun was still here, which made Wu Yu a little cautious. It was easy for him to take Luo Bin away, but what if they punished Wu Jun? Wu Yu could never let Wu Jun suffer severe punishment because of him. So he didn't act immediately to escape from here, but planned to stabilize first and see the situation. Wu Yu, I didn't expect you to be so bold that you actually sneaked into the holy land of my Shenlong clan, the holy dragon domain, to snatch people, Tianxin Dragon Emperor snorted coldly. He just checked a little and found that Luo Bin in the dragon source tomb had disappeared. She must have been taken away by Wu Yu. Unexpectedly, this kid was so bold that he didn't expect it at all, but was caught off guard. The other dragon emperors didn't say anything for the time being. Just leave this matter to Tianxin Dragon Emperor. Tianxin Dragon Emperor threatened Wu Yu, you surrender quickly and leave Luo Bin behind, otherwise the news of your appearance here will immediately spread to the heavenly court. The ancient giant spirit gods will probably know soon that you appeared in our Xianlong Emperor realm. At that time, you can't fly away, don't make a mistake. Oh! If you spread the news, I will take Luo Bin away from here and never come back. Wu Yu also chuckled and threatened the other party in return. How dare you? The Tianxin Dragon Emperor was furious. He had always threatened others, and no junior had ever spoken to him in such a tone. He wanted to take action again, and the terrifying pressure of the Emperor Immortal came crashing down, even pressing the void and squeezing towards where Wu Yu was. The power of the Emperor Immortal could not be stopped. If Wu Yu confronted head-on, he would definitely end up in ashes. So he somersaulted over and escaped from the oppressed void again, sneering at the same time, you can't trap me with your power. If I want to leave, I can leave at any time. What can you do to me? What can you do to me? These few words instantly made the Tianxin Dragon Emperor explode with anger. He thought that with the power of the Emperor Immortal, he could completely crush Wu Yu, but he didn't expect Wu Yu to be so slippery, even more powerful than before, and even the Void Seal couldn't trap him. Wait. The other Dragon Emperors finally spoke up. It was obvious that Wu Yu had just said that he would take Luo Bin away and never come back, which made them a little cautious. In any case, Luo Bin's talent is still very important to the Shenlong clan, so they are reluctant to let Luo Bin be taken away. Judging from the situation just now, if Wu Yu wants to leave, they really can't stop him. Tianxin Dragon Emperor has personally taken action twice, and Wu Yu slipped away easily. It is obvious that Wu Yu dared to come here and never thought that he would be left here. There are many ways to leave. In this case, they want to negotiate. I guess you were brought into the Holy Dragon domain by Wu Jun. A Dragon Emperor looked at Wu Jun and asked majestically. Yes. Wu Jun could only confess at this time. Anyway, he couldn't escape. From the moment he decided to bring Wu Yu in, he was ready to be punished, but he still had to argue and said solemnly, Wu Yu is a natural talent. He will soon become an immortal emperor. There is no hatred between us, why do we have to make enemies? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1646. Following Wu Jun's words, the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Lords also began to think about whether they really wanted to be enemies with Wu Yu. After all, genius can impress people. If Wu Yu is really a genius, it is not a good choice to be his enemy now. Judging from the previous situation, Wu Yu's talent is obviously not comparable to that of ordinary immortals. There is no hatred between the Shenlong clan and Wu Yu, and even if there is, it is not a deep hatred. Some of Tianxin Dragon Emperor's descendants died in Wu Yu's hands before, but to them, the Eternal Emperor Immortal, 1 or 2 descendants are nothing, unless they are the kind of descendants who are destined to become the Eternal Emperor Immortal, otherwise, it's just the difference between dying early and dying late. From this aspect, there is really no need for the Shenlong clan to fight Wu Yu. The key is that Tianxin Dragon Emperor has been unable to catch Wu Yu twice now. Wu Yu is jumping up and down like a monkey, leaving the entire Shenlong clan helpless. If the Tianxin Dragon Emperor is unable to take action, the other Dragon Emperors will do the same. If they want to trap Wu Yu, unless they use some relatively large means, it will involve too much, and even involve some secrets of the Shenlong clan. There is no need to use it against Wu Yu. Therefore, the other Dragon Emperors are now inclined to negotiate peace with Wu Yu. However, they haven't said anything yet, mainly because they want to see how Tianxin Dragon Emperor will deal with it. After all, Wu Jun belongs to the Tianxin clan. Luo Bin is the descendant of the ancestral dragon and a precious asset to the entire Shenlong clan. They cannot let Luo Bin be taken away anyway. In addition, they can make decisions based on the development of the situation. After listening to Wu Jun's words and looking at Wu Yu, who had escaped his capture twice in succession, Tianxin Dragon Emperor suddenly became a little angry. He glanced at Wu Jun and snorted, "Wu Yu, I want to give you a chance. After all, Wu Jun is a member of our Shenlong clan. It is a grave sin to bring you, an outsider, into the Holy Dragon domain, but if you release Luo concubine and stay, we can forget about it and won't stop you from leaving here. How about we just pretend that what happened today didn't happen?" This condition, Tianxin Dragon Emperor felt, was already very generous. If it were anyone else, he would definitely report the news to the other immortal Emperor Immortals in heaven and let them deal with Wu Yu. But now, as long as Wu Yu releases the concubine, he will forget about it. Tianxin Dragon Emperor himself has some. It's incredible that such a solution would be proposed. But this was still unacceptable to Wu Yu. The Tianxin Dragon Emperor's words contained an obvious threat. If he forcibly took Luo Bin away, then Wu Jun would be punished. However, Wu Jun was now a member of the Dragon Master Society, and his status was different from before, so the punishment would also be different. Tianxin Dragon Emperor does not have the final say alone. Therefore, even the punishment will not be too severe. At most, he would be put in some confinement. In fact, Wu Jun told Wu Yu before he came that if the matter was exposed, the Dragon Emperors would deal with him. Wu Yu should not worry, because he knew what the punishment would be. Never too serious. So now Wu Yu doesn't take the threat of Tianxin Dragon Emperor seriously. He just said, "You want me to leave my concubine here and continue to put you under house arrest? This is impossible." This declares his firm determination. Today, he must take away Luo Bin, but in the bottom of Wu Yu's heart, he still has an idea, that is, he can meet Luo Bin openly. After all, Luo Bin belongs to the Divine Dragon clan and is a descendant of the ancestral dragon. It would not be appropriate for her to wander around with her from now on. It depends on whether the Dragon Emperors can discuss a more suitable plan. Hearing what Wu Yu said, Tianxin Dragon Emperor was furious to death, but it was obvious that he did not have the final say in this situation. There are 9 Dragon Emperors in the Shenlong clan, and Tianxin Dragon Emperor is just one of them. He was unhappy with Wu Yu, but the other Dragon Emperors' decisions were fair. They called Tianxin Dragon Emperor back and started discussing. First of all, they felt from the beginning that putting Luo Bin, the descendant of the Dragon Emperor, under house arrest was not an option. The main reason was that they wanted Luo Bin to forget Wu Yu. But judging from today's situation, this was simply impossible. In this case, there is no need to prevent Wu Yu and Luo Bin from meeting, because it will not achieve the effect they want at all. So they started thinking of other options. After intense discussion, even if Dragon Emperor Tianxin objected, most of the other 8 Dragon Emperors and the Dragon Master Association agreed, believing that Wu Yu should be given a chance to prove himself. "Wu Yu, you have no grudges against my Shenlong clan, and there is no need for us to be enemies with each other today. We can let Luo Bin go free, and we will not prevent you two from meeting, but there is one condition: You must prove your worth. The Fire Dragon Emperor stood up. It was an ancient divine dragon with endless chaotic flames burning all over his body. There seemed to be a source of flames flashing in his eyes. He looked at Wu Yu with piercing eyes. Prove your own worth? How to prove it? Wu Yu did not flinch, but asked with great interest. After our discussion, we decided to give you 5,000 years. We agreed that after 5,000 years, if you can defeat an eternal immortal emperor, we will no longer stop you and Luo Bin. How about that? Huoming the Dragon Emperor's voice was full of majesty. At that time, I can come and go to the immortal Dragon Emperor realm at will, Wu Yu asked again. Not bad. Fire Dragon Emperor nodded. Since Wu Yu and Luo Bin are not prevented from meeting and recognizing their love, there is no need to prevent Wu Yu from coming to the immortal Dragon Emperor realm. On the contrary, if Wu Yu can really rise, based on his relationship with Luo Bin, it will be more beneficial than harmful to the Shenlong clan. Even if the ancient giant spirit asks about it, the Shenlong clan can completely say that they don't know. Of course, the premise of all this is that Wu Yu must defeat an immortal emperor in 5,000 years, which is extremely difficult. If it were an ordinary immortal, he would not dare to agree at all. You have to know what realm Wu Yu is in now? 6th-day Immortal King. The Shenlong clan has thousands of 9-day immortal kings in the immortal Dragon Emperor realm, and none of them dares to confront the immortal emperor, but Wu Yu dares, not only dares, but also has considerable confidence. After all, he has now escaped from the hands of the immortal emperor. Is it still far from defeating the immortal emperor? 5,000 years is a little tight, but Wu Yu has some insights recently, and it should still be in time. Then I agree. 5,000 years later, it's settled. Wu Yu solemnly agreed to the other party's conditions. As a member of the Divine Dragon clan, he doesn't need to worry about the other party going back on their word. Next, he just needs to improve himself and raise himself to a level that can rival the immortal emperor of eternal life. Hearing that Wu Yu actually agreed so decisively, the Dragon Lords and Dragon Emperors present were also a little surprised. The difference between Taixu Fairyland and Immortal Emperor of Eternal Life is more than 100 times. No one in Taixu Fairyland, even the Nine Heavens Immortal King, dared to challenge an Immortal Emperor of Eternal Life, but now, Wu Yu dared to agree to this impossible condition. How much confidence does he have in himself? Only Wu Jun was full of confidence in Wu Yu. He knew that with Wu Yu's current strength, if he fought against the immortal Emperor of Eternal Life in 5,000 years, he might not be unable to win. It is indeed a natural talent. In this case, I look forward to your performance in 5,000 years. I hope you won't disappoint us, the Fire Dragon Emperor said lightly, and then took the initiative to make way. Of course, during this period, you must not show up in the immortal Dragon Emperor realm casually, lest the news spreads and attracts the giant spirit god and others. If that happens, I'm afraid you won't even have a chance to fight in 5,000 years. Tianxin Dragon Emperor added a sentence later, still a little unwilling in his voice. After all, in the whole situation, he was the only one who lost face, and he couldn't even take down Wu Yu. It was too embarrassing. You know, he is one of the 9 Dragon Emperors. Although it would be the same if it were any other Dragon Emperor, he just couldn't swallow this breath. However, the 9 Dragon Emperors and the Dragon Lord Association have already discussed the results and have made a decision on the treatment of Wu Yu and Luo Bin. He can't object anymore. The Shenlong clan is definitely not something that a mere Dragon Emperor can mess around with. This agreement between the Shenlong clan and Wu Yu is destined to be known only to the Dragon Emperor, Dragon Lord, and a few others present. As long as Wu Yu doesn't walk around, the news will basically not leak out, and the giant spirit god and others will not know that Wu Yu is here. In that case, I propose that the opponent of this boy in 5,000 years be set as Tianyu Dragon Lord. How about it? Tianxin Dragon Emperor looked around and proposed a candidate to fight with Wu Yu. Tianyu Dragon Lord is his younger brother, so he will naturally stand on his side, and there will be no possibility of letting him go at that time. In order to take care of Tianxin Dragon Emperor's emotions, the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Lords also agreed to this candidate. Among the dragons, Tianyu Dragon Lord looked at Wu Yu from a distance, and didn't care much about the kid who would challenge him in 5,000 years. He knew that Wu Yu was growing very fast, but how big the gap between Taixu Fairyland and Yongsheng Emperor Immortal was, only those who reached Yongsheng Emperor Immortal would know. Even if Wu Yu seemed to be able to escape from Yongsheng Emperor Immortal now, defeating Yongsheng Emperor Immortal could not be done by tricky means, and it required a head-on confrontation between the two sides. How difficult is it? Wu Yu heard the decision of the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Lords, and also looked at Tianyu Dragon Lord from a distance. The opponent's aura was indeed strong, surpassing all the opponents Wu Yu had encountered before, but it was precisely because of this that it was a new challenge for Wu Yu. Only 5,000 years, for Wu Yu, it was not enough, but it would definitely allow him to reach a higher level. The agreement had been made, and Wu Yu did not need to leave Luobin in the floating life tower. He asked Luobin to come out of the floating life tower. She could see clearly the agreement he had just discussed with the Dragon Emperors in the floating life tower, which made her a little moved. She was too clear about the gap between Taixu Fairyland and the Eternal Emperor Fairy. Will it be hard? Luobin finally got the opportunity to be with Wu Yu openly, and she couldn't help but want to cry a little, but in front of the Dragon Emperors, she did not make too intimate moves with Wu Yu. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1647. For you, what's the hardship? Let's go back to Canyon Peak first. Wu Yu is in a good mood now. This agreement means that he has the opportunity to be with Luobin openly, which is much better than the sneaky way before. And this time it is the decision made by the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Lord. At that time, as long as he meets their requirements, they will not be able to regret it. In the sight of the 9 Dragon Emperors and Dragon Lords, Wu Yu took Luobin and the two finally left the Holy Dragon Domain. As for the Dragon Emperors and Dragon Lords, they must continue to worship their ancestors. Worshipping their ancestors is still a very important ritual for them. It is impossible to do it halfway. Wu Jun looked at the backs of Wu Yu and Luobin leaving, and a gratified smile appeared on his face. He believed that Wu Yu could definitely meet the conditions of the Dragon Emperors. It is not impossible for Wu Yu to defeat an immortal emperor. 5,000 years later, Wu Yu will definitely be able to create a myth. If it were in the past, how could the Dragon Emperors and Dragon Lords treat Wu Yu like this? It was because he was so powerful now that he was able to escape the capture of Tianxin Dragon Emperor twice in a row that the Dragon Emperors changed their minds. Wu Jun could see clearly that Wu Yu had shown enough strength to win the respect of the Dragon Emperors. Next, the Dragon Emperors would see if Wu Yu had the potential to go further. Qin Yinfen. When the Dragon King Bacon and the Dragon King Bian saw Wu Yu and Luobin coming back together, they were all very happy. They were a little curious about how they came out together and kept asking. It was not until Wu Yu told them about the agreement 5,000 years later that they understood, but their faces became a little bad. To challenge Tianyu Dragon Lord? Will this be too difficult? The Dragon King Bacon said with some concern. Wu Yu, the Emperor Immortal and the ordinary Immortal are completely different. You have to think clearly, the Dragon King Bian also said solemnly. They have confidence in Wu Yu, but in the long run, the Emperor Immortal and Taixu Fairyland, even the 9 Heavens Immortal King, are one in heaven and one in the ground. In 5,000 years, Wu Yu will definitely not be able to achieve the Immortal Emperor Immortal, so he can only challenge the Immortal Emperor Immortal with the realm of Taixu Fairyland. Not to mention the Immortal Dragon Emperor realm, even in the entire heaven, they have never heard of similar successful examples. It is very difficult, but it doesn't matter. It is the goal and direction of effort. Wu Yu was very determined. He had already agreed to the battle of the Shenlong clan, and now he could not retreat. Indeed, now he can take Luo Bin and fly away directly. But from now on, he will have to hide and can't be with Luo Bin openly. This is not what he wants. So the battle after 5,000 years is imperative, and he will also work hard for that battle. Okay, you haven't seen each other for a long time, right? You guys chat first, we'll go get some wine and food to celebrate, haha. After saying this, Bai Yin Dragon King pulled Bai Qin Dragon King away first. There are too many places on Qin Yin Peak, and now Bai Yin Dragon King and his wife obviously want to leave their own space for Wu Yu and Luo Bin. Seeing the couple turn around and leave, Luo Bin couldn't help blushing. In fact, Bai Yin Dragon King and his wife must miss Luo Bin very much, but they gave this opportunity to Wu Yu first. Obviously, they knew the relationship between Wu Yu and Luo Bin very well. Now that they finally met, they needed a world for two. When they were in the Holy Dragon domain, it was indeed inconvenient to talk. And now that there was no one around, in the deep and secluded place of Qin Yin Peak, Wu Yu had no scruples and reached out to hug the beauty into his arms. Luo Bin responded enthusiastically. Neither of them said anything, but they could feel the deep longing in each other's body. That longing was like fire, and it completely broke out at this moment. "Where have you been all these years?" the beauty whispered softly in Wu Yu's ear, making Wu Yu hold her tightly. She told him about the demon god realm in general. What she saw and heard made Luo Bin a little frightened. She could imagine how thrilling the tests Wu Yu had to go through in the Eternal Emperor's burial were. Every test might make her never see Wu Yu again. Fortunately, Wu Yu overcame these tests one by one and finally got the bronze ball, the artifact of the era, which was equivalent to mastering the entire Eternal Emperor's burial. Luo Bin didn't want to discuss the secrets of the destruction of the demon god realm contained in the bronze ball and the Eternal Emperor's burial, and she couldn't discuss it now, because she was facing Wu Yu's endless attack, and the sudden storm finally poured down at this moment. After not seeing each other for many years, the endless longing made it difficult to control their emotions. The two sides hugged each other tightly and responded to each other's longing with their bodies. At this time, on Qin Yin Peak, the beauty was more beautiful than the moonlight. The sudden rain stopped, and Wu Yu began to pass on his teachings to Luo Bin. This time in the demon god realm, he obtained the corpses of many immortal emperor demons and devoured their flesh and blood, including the blood of the unknown emperor demon, the tentacles of the Black Sea Emperor, and the 8 heads of the infant demon emperor. These corpses of immortal emperor demons allowed Wu Yu to gain many insights about the Tao, and he could pass on these insights to Luo Bin. This was equivalent to what he had done to Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi before. As Wu Yu passed on his teachings to Luo Bin's cultivation level continued to improve as expected, and the speed was 10 or even 100 times faster than when she practiced alone in the Holy Dragon domain. Especially when she first passed on her teachings, she felt as if she had suddenly realized something, and instantly seemed to have touched the bottleneck of her current realm. "It's so fast. I found that it's better to follow you even for cultivation. Luo Bin is a little lazy now." She finally came out of the house arrest of the Holy Dragon domain and met Wu Yu, whom she had missed for a long time. She can be said to be surrounded by happiness now. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. In addition to the Emperor Demon inheritance brought to her by Wu Yu, her understanding of the realm is too profound, far beyond her current level, which makes her progress rapidly. In just one night, she was almost able to break through the current realm, and the realm understanding inherited by Wu Yu to her is far from over, which is enough for her to make rapid progress. And Wu Yu needs to practice by himself next. The two practiced on Qin Yin Peak. During this period, Wu Yu never left Qin Yin Peak. Even if other dragons came to Qin Yin Peak as guests, he would hide to avoid being discovered and the news would be unfavorable to him. As for Luo Bin, she was always with him. In the first 1,000 years, Wu Yu kept practicing and studying the magical power of law of heaven and earth. He had not yet practiced this magical power to the peak realm, but the experience of the previous period of time had already made him familiar with this magical power to the point where he could not be more familiar. The most important thing was the test in the mirror space, which made him familiar with each of his magical powers. If he wanted to improve these magical powers, he would break through much faster. Wu Yu did not waste 1,000 years. He occasionally passed on the understanding of the realm to Luo Bin, and spent the rest of the time comprehending the law of heaven and earth, and finally made this magical power reach a higher level. Above his own fairy king, a golden little man condensed. This golden little man is his seventh heavenly rule, big and small heavenly rule. The way of big and small is the power of heavenly rule comprehended from the magical power of law of heaven and earth. This power of heavenly rule uses the change of body size to the extreme. After gathering together, he finally broke through to the realm of the seven heavenly immortal king. This made him more confident in his own strength. Now, he can fully resist the attack of the immortal emperor from the front with the power of various heavenly rules. Of course, it is still a bit difficult to defeat the immortal emperor with these means. So Wu Yu continued to practice, striving to condense the eighth heavenly rule within the remaining 4,000 years. This is a bit difficult, but he did not give up. In order to win the opportunity to be with Luo Bin openly, he must do it with all his might. The love of a beautiful woman must not be let down. In the first 1,000 years, after Wu Yu's several inheritances to Luo Bin's realm has improved by leaps and bounds. This change was seen by the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Lords. Sometimes they would get together to discuss it, and finally let them slowly recognize Wu Yu. It is obvious that Luo Bin, as the descendant of the ancestral dragon, has made progress after following Wu Yu, which is completely incomparable to her retreat in the Holy Dragon domain. Moreover, they are very sure that Wu Yu and Luo Bin did not use any abnormal means, and they will never harm their future. Even the Dragon Emperors discussed with each other that if the ancient giant spirit gods and others pursued it, they would just say that they had no knowledge of it, so that they would not offend both sides. After all, it seems that Wu Yu not only has amazing talent, but also is a huge help to Luo Bin's promotion. They don't want Wu Yu to be lost from the immortal Dragon Emperor realm. Unknowingly, Wu Yu has become a powerful existence that the entire Shenlong clan cares about. Compared with the initial escape from here, his status is completely different. At present, the giant spirit gods and others certainly don't know the news that Wu Yu has returned to the immortal Dragon Emperor realm. Normally, they are too lazy to come to the immortal Dragon Emperor realm. The last time they came was when Wu Jun broke through to become an Emperor Immortal and joined the Dragon Honor Society. They came to celebrate. In the short term, if there is nothing major, the gods in the heavenly court will not be so bored to run around. So for a while, the news that Wu Yu was in the immortal Dragon Emperor realm was not known by other gods and emperors. Even the Tianxin Dragon Emperor couldn't reveal this news. After all, it was related to Lupin and the descendants of Zilong, and it was too significant for the Shenlong clan. Time passed year after year. For Wu Yu, the last 4,000 years of cultivation could not be said to have no results, but the results were not great after all. His eighth heavenly rule was not able to condense successfully in the end, and the agreed period of 5,000 years was about to come, and the battle with Tianyu Dragon Lord was also imminent. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1648. At this time, Wu Yu's realm has reached the seventh heavenly immortal king. As for his specific strength, it is no longer comparable to that of an ordinary seventh heavenly immortal king. Wu Yu made a rough estimate. If he were in the demon god realm now, he could kill the Hell Dragon King and the 10,000-eyed Daodi with one hand. Even if the 5 demon emperors of the demon god realm joined forces to kill him, they would not be his opponent, and he would even kill them one by one. Although some of the tests he received in the Eternal Emperor's burial did not improve his realm too much, his combat power skyrocketed by unknown times. The improvement of the mirror space, that is, the transcendence, made his combat power multiply several times, not to mention the 5,000 years of seclusion and hard training. In these 5,000 years, although he only improved one realm, he consolidated all the major magical powers. In general, his strength is much stronger than before. If Wu Yu could only flee from the hands of the immortal emperor before, he should be able to fight against an ordinary immortal emperor head-on now. Of course, it may not be so easy to defeat the opponent, but in the past 4,000 years of cultivation, Wu Yu has already comprehended part of the power of the eighth heavenly rule, that is, the way of the void. Although it has not yet truly condensed into the heavenly rule, allowing him to step into the realm of the eight heavenly immortal king, it has also increased his strength. This makes Wu Yu more confident about the next battle with Tianyu Dragon Lord. Wu Yu, how sure are you of this battle? 3 days before the battle, Bai Yin Dragon King found Wu Yu and talked to him. Tianyu Dragon Lord is the immortal emperor. It is not easy for me to defeat him, but it is even more impossible for him to defeat me. We can only fight and see. Wu Yu said what he thought. Okay, as long as nothing happens. Even if you fail this time, you are still young. When you really become the immortal emperor, the Dragon Emperor seniors will definitely not embarrass you. Bai Yin Dragon King comforted him. Bacon Dragon King rolled his eyes at him. Didn't you hear what Wu Yu said? Even if he can't defeat Tianyu Dragon Lord can't defeat him. This fight will be a draw at most, don't worry. Even if it's a draw, the previous agreement doesn't count. Baiyin Dragon King was a little anxious. He told Wu Yu, don't be too stressed in this battle, understand? Don't fight too hard, life is more precious than anything else, even the immortal emperor values his life the most. Well, I understand. Wu Yu nodded solemnly. Baiyin Dragon King and his wife care about him very much, he sees it in his eyes, as well as Lupin, they are all looking forward to him defeating Tianyu Dragon Lord. How can Wu Yu bear to disappoint them? No matter what, this battle can only be won, not lost. Otherwise, Wu Yu himself can't forgive himself. He has the inheritance of the great sage equaling heaven. Although no one in Taixu Fairyland has ever defeated the immortal emperor of eternal life, that is only temporary. In the endless ancient times and in the future, who can say for sure? If there was no one before, he, Wu Yu, will be the first one. Wu Yu's character is not to admit defeat, and he has the inheritance of the great sage equaling heaven. He still has this kind of confidence. What's more, the great sage equaling heaven is also called the fighting Buddha. Has he ever been afraid of any battle? Tianyu Longzun, the strength of the Shenlong clan is not at the forefront. For Wu Yu, just treat him as an ordinary immortal emperor of eternal life. It is not the first time for Wu Yu to fight against the immortal emperor of eternal life, but before, it was basically a corpse puppet, or just fled from the hands of the immortal emperor of eternal life. As for the head-on confrontation, this will really be the first time. The date of the battle was approaching. Wu Jun deliberately came to Wu Yu in advance, and reminded him solemnly, Wu Yu, what do you know about the Eternal Emperor Immortal? Do you know what power they use? Wu Yu really didn't know much about this. He only knew that the Eternal Emperor Immortal was extremely powerful and had an immortal lifespan. Apart from that, he knew nothing about the source of their power. Obviously, Wu Jun was here to tell Wu Yu these things so that he could know himself and the enemy in the battle, so as not to suffer a big loss because he was not familiar with the opponent's power. Please speak. Wu Yu listened attentively. Wu Jun has now entered the realm of the Eternal Emperor Immortal for 5,000 years. During these 5,000 years, he has been consolidating the first level of the Eternal Emperor Immortal's cultivation. The most important thing is to condense the power of the Eternal Emperor Immortal. Wu Jun then told some details. It turns out that the power of the Eternal Emperor Immortal itself comes from the ultra-high God realm, which is an existence beyond the immortal way. The body of every immortal emperor is an eternal and huge world, which is the ultimate god realm. In other words, the body of an immortal emperor is a small world, and the power born from this small world is brought by the immortal emperor. For example, Tianyu Longzun, his body is the Tianyu Emperor realm. It is a real small world inside his body. There are actually endless skies, blue sky and white clouds, as well as oceans, voids, and everything else inside his body. There are even living beings born, and mortals practicing in it, so there is an endless flow of Emperor realm immortal power. Wu Jun continued to explain that it turned out that the body of an immortal emperor was equivalent to a small world, and all kinds of power and creatures in the small world could be used by the immortal emperor. This is the Emperor realm immortal power, which has surpassed the power of the immortal essence used by the original gods. The magical powers displayed by the power of the Emperor realm immortal are all perfect magical powers, which are called Emperor Dao magic power. The Taoism they display is created by their own understanding and displayed by the power of the Emperor realm immortal, which is called Emperor immortal magic art. These are all means that completely surpass ordinary immortals. Because of this, ordinary immortals cannot be the opponents of the Emperor immortal. They have achieved immortality, and their bodies have become a world of their own, with magnificent and terrifying power. The power of the Emperor realm immortal, the divine power of the Emperor Dao, and the divine art of the Emperor immortal are all unimaginable for those who have not achieved immortality. Even as the Emperor immortals continue to practice and exist for longer and longer, the number of mortals and creatures in the small world in their bodies increases, and their strength becomes stronger and stronger. These are all the power of the Emperor immortal himself. Although the power of these mortals is insignificant compared to that of the immortals, how many creatures and mortals are there in a small world? Flowers, plants, snakes, insects, rats, ants, birds, and beasts, all of these can be used by the Emperor immortal. There are 90,000 small worlds in the Tiangong immortal realm. Could these 90,000 small worlds be transformed from the bodies of the immortal emperors? Wu Yu was deeply shocked when he heard this. Yes, the 90,000 small worlds in the Tiangong immortal realm were all the bodies of the immortal emperors in the past, but many of the ancient immortal emperors have died in battle, and only the small worlds in their bodies have been preserved, in which mortals and creatures are nurtured. Wu Jun nodded solemnly, and the living immortal emperors now also have a small world in their bodies. For example, Tianyu Longzun, the world in his body is a small world, and the mortals in it call it the Tianyu world, but the mortals don't know that they are actually living in the body of an immortal emperor. So that's it, Wu Yu only then understood the power of the immortal emperors and where their essence came from. It is actually necessary to open up the body void and construct a small world in the body. Only in this way can one be qualified to achieve the realm of the immortal emperor. The mortals and creatures who reproduce and thrive in the small world are all the people of the immortal emperors. The power of mortals is the power of the immortal emperors. The history of the Tiangong immortal realm is endless and long. It is unknown how many immortal emperors died in battle before the ancient times, but the small worlds left behind have always existed and have become a hotbed for the birth of new gods and immortals in the Tiangong immortal realm. In this state, the Emperor Dao divine power and Emperor immortal divine art of the immortal emperor have the power to crush the rules of heaven. The ordinary power of the rules of heaven is like child's play in front of the emperor. Wu Jun's words gave Wu Yu a general understanding of the power of Tianyu Longzun. This is equivalent to fighting with gods and small worlds with a mortal body. The difficulty of this can be imagined, but Wu Yu still believes in himself. At this point, he will never retreat. Only by fighting to the death can he create a world for himself and Luo Bin. The only way he can prove himself is this battle. If he fails in this battle, he will have few ways to retreat, so he can only win and not lose. Even if his opponent is Tianyu Dragon Lord, an immortal emperor whose body has turned into a small world and possesses the power of the creatures of a small world, he can only move forward bravely. Don't be too stressed. Regardless of victory or defeat, I will always be with you. At most, I will leave here with you and go to the demon god realm to avoid the limelight first. Before leaving, Luo Bin leaned against Wu Yu and comforted him in a soft voice. Don't worry, I will win this battle and we must continue to get along openly. Wu Yu looked serious, and then took Luo Bin with him and prepared to go to the Holy Dragon domain with Wu Zun. The location of this 5,000-year battle is located in the Holy Dragon domain, so the only people of the Shenlong clan who can come to watch the battle are the 9 Dragon Emperors and the 50 Dragon Lords of the Dragon Lord Association. Although it was just a fight between the younger generation, because it involved Luo Bin, the descendant of the ancestral dragon, and the two parties in the fight were Wu Yu and Tianyu Dragon Lord, who seemed to be very different on the surface. All 50 Dragon Lords of the Dragon Lord Club were present. You should know that apart from worshipping ancestors, there are basically few things in the Shenlong clan that can make all the Dragon Lords of the Dragon Lord Club come together, which shows how much the Shenlong clan as a whole attaches importance to this fight between Wu Yu and Tianyu Dragon Lord. Except for the Dragon Emperor, the Dragon Lords, and Wu Yu and Luo Bin, all other Shenlong clans cannot enter the Holy Dragon domain, so it is impossible for them to come to watch the battle. In fact, other ordinary Shenlongs don't know that Wu Yu is in the Immortal Dragon Emperor realm. Once the news leaked, I'm afraid that before today, the ancient giant spirit gods and others would have come to the door. Soon, Wu Jun brought Wu Yu and Luo Bin to the Holy Dragon domain, the place where they met again. Here, Wu Yu will have a decisive battle with Tianyu Dragon Lord. Under the watchful eyes of the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Lords, Wu Yu flew up into the air alone, his eyes showing great determination and his belief in winning this battle. Unfortunately, the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Lords were not optimistic about his victory. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1649. When Wu Yu arrived with Wu Jun, several Dragon Lords in the Dragon Lord Club had a good relationship with Tianyu Dragon Lord. They watched Wu Yu arrive and felt his cultivation level, and couldn't help but smile faintly. A Dragon Lord smiled and said, "This kid has broken through one level in 5,000 years and reached the 7th Heavenly Immortal King, but this level is still far from the Emperor Immortal." Another Dragon Lord with a Taoist style stroked his beard and said, "Yes, even the 9th Heavenly Immortal King can't compare with the Emperor Immortal, not to mention the 7th Heavenly Immortal King. Don't underestimate Wu Yu." There was another Dragon Lord with golden pupils, and he looked at Wu Yu with great respect. Before, Tianxin Dragon Emperor attacked him and wanted to capture him, but he failed twice in the end. This is by no means a coincidence. Now his realm has been raised to another level. It will be difficult for Tianyu Dragon Lord to defeat him. What are you afraid of? Tianyu Dragon Lord is the younger brother of Tianxin Dragon Emperor, and has always stood on the side of Tianxin Dragon Emperor on the stage. Hearing the words of the golden-eyed Dragon Lord, he smiled disdainfully. This time is different from the previous situation. Last time, there was no agreement. He could leave if he wanted to, and stay if he wanted to. He was indeed free, and he had many ways to escape, and he was slippery. But this time, he has an appointment with me. Yes. The Taoist Immortal Dragon nodded. The situation is different, but it doesn't mean that Wu Yu can still get the upper hand. This time, if he can't defeat Tianyu, he can't prove himself, and he can't stay in our Immortal Dragon Emperor realm. From what I know about this kid, he will definitely go all out. Maybe he has some special skills in escaping, but in a head-on battle, what right does he have to fight the Emperor Immortal? Such conversations can be heard everywhere on the field. For the Dragon Emperor and Dragon Lord, they are very clear about the transformation of the Eternal Emperor Immortal. Compared with the 7 Heavens Immortal King, it can be said that one is in heaven and the other is in the ground. It is almost a fantasy for Wu Yu to defeat Tianyu Dragon Lord. Few of the Dragon Emperors and Dragon Lords present thought that Wu Yu could win this battle. In fact, when this agreement was made, no one objected, and even the Tianxin Dragon Emperor directly agreed to it. Because of this, they never thought that Wu Yu really had the ability to defeat an immortal emperor. Unless Wu Yu could break through to become an immortal emperor in these 5,000 years, but how could that be possible? Now seeing that he was only a seventh heavenly immortal king, the Dragon Emperors and Dragon Lords all shook their heads secretly. This kid, it seems that he is going to lose this time. Of course, whether Wu Yu wins or loses, it will not be bad for the Shenlong clan. If Wu Yu loses, then Wu Yu will not be qualified to stay with Luo Bin, and they, the Dragon Emperors, will not allow Wu Yu to have the opportunity to take Luo Bin away, which is equivalent to returning to the beginning, and they will guard Luo Bin. Although during this period, the inheritance that Wu Yu gave to Luo Bin allowed her to improve rapidly and break through the realm one after another. But if the Shenlong clan let her go to follow Wu Yu and leave the immortal dragon realm and never come back, they would rather Luo Bin practice slowly. Anyway, as the descendant of the ancestral dragon, she will sooner or later reach the level of the immortal emperor. If Wu Yu wins, it goes without saying. This means that Wu Yu has great potential. He has the ability to defeat the immortal emperor in the Seven Heavens Immortal King realm. Once he enters the immortal emperor realm, what level will he be at? I'm afraid that even the entire Shenlong clan can only look up to him. There is no harm in making friends with such a genius for the Shenlong clan. Therefore, if Wu Yu wins this time, he will soar to the clouds. If he loses, he will be defeated. The Shenlong clan only looks at victory and defeat, not potential. No matter how high the potential is, what's the use if it can't be brought into play? In this battle, they are equivalent to mortals and immortals. Tianyu Longzun is an immortal, and Wu Yu is immortal. The two sides are not at the same level. It's too difficult for Wu Yu to win. The 9 Dragon Emperors also gathered together to discuss the upcoming battle. Tianxin Dragon Emperor sneered at Wu Yu from a distance. He didn't say anything, but from his eyes, it can be seen that he didn't think highly of Wu Yu at all, and he was ready to add insult to injury after Wu Yu was defeated. As for what Tianxin Dragon Emperor planned, Wu Yu didn't know. But no matter what, Wu Yu was pursuing victory in this battle. Once he won, he would be valued by the Dragon Emperors and Dragon Lords of the Shenlong clan, and then Tianxin Dragon Emperor would not be able to do anything to him. Where is Tianyu Dragon Lord? Come out, let's start. After Wu Yu arrived, he didn't wait too long. He shouted directly in the direction of the Dragon Lord Club, and his eyes were focused on a young man wearing a red and blue robe. The young man in the red and blue robe was Tianyu Dragon Lord, the younger brother of Tianxin Dragon Emperor. After Wu Yu called him like this, Tianyu Dragon Lord, who was originally calm and didn't take Wu Yu seriously, suddenly became gloomy. He didn't expect Wu Yu to call him by his name, so disrespectful. He, Tianyu Longzun, had not been treated like this by a junior for a long time. Apart from other things, Wu Yu's shouting full of fighting spirit made him quite unhappy. Did this kid really think he could defeat him? Tianyu Longzun snorted coldly, "You want to die, I will fulfill your wish." After a cold snort, Tianyu Longzun turned into a dragon, and the breath of the dragon spread throughout the venue in an instant. The terrifying imperial aura seemed to be pressing down on Wu Yu like a substance. It was a terrifying red and blue dragon. As soon as it appeared, it caused the void to tremble, making Wu Yu's sight become a little distorted and blurred. Just the first level of the Immortal Emperor Immortal has such power. It is indeed the Emperor Immortal who gave birth to the godless world. Wu Yu was suddenly oppressed by the opponent's momentum, and the pressure suddenly increased, and he even felt like he couldn't breathe. Tianyu Longzun's divine passage method seems to be related to the void. His momentum carries the pressure from the void, making Wu Yu feel like he is tightly bound. The battle has begun. Wu Yu had no preparation and faced the pressure of Tianyu Dragon Lord directly. However, he was the first to provoke the opponent, so now that the opponent attacked, Wu Yu responded immediately. He instantly transformed into the appearance of a golden ape, and countless golden scriptures of the indestructible body began to surround him, breaking the opponent's pressure in an instant. Wu Yu had faced off against the Immortal Emperor before, but this was his first time facing the Immortal Emperor head-on. Before, whether it was the corpse puppet or the Tianxin Dragon Emperor, he had avoided the most important and relied on somersault clouds to escape. Now that he was facing a head-on confrontation, he found that the pressure was really too great. The strength of the Immortal Emperor was so tyrannical that it exceeded his imagination. We can't continue to be suppressed like this, we must find a way to defeat him. Wu Yu knew that if he continued to be suppressed, he would definitely lose, so he roared, and the golden ape's body instantly became huge. The power of the big and small rules of heaven that he had just broken through and comprehended was condensed by him and enveloped in it. On himself. The magical powers of the heaven and the earth turned into the power of the heaven and earth. As his body grew, his strength also skyrocketed, even reaching dozens of times his previous strength. Golden fire rules, explode. Wu Yu gritted his teeth, his expression extremely solemn, and in this form where his body grew and his power exploded, he instantly blasted out the golden fire heavenly ruler. A golden streak of fire passed through the void in an instant and bombarded the divine dragon body of Tianyu Longzun in the sky. Past. Little tricks. Tianyu Longzun smiled contemptuously. He felt the huge power contained in Wu Yu's move. If this power was used to deal with the Nine Heavens Immortal King, it was indeed more than enough. It might even be able to kill an existence in the Nine Heavens Immortal King realm instantly. But for him, the Immortal Emperor, the power of this move is too far behind. You must know that although he is only the first level of the Immortal Emperor immortal, he has already condensed into the godless realm and can display the magical power of the Emperor Dao and the divine art of the Emperor Immortal. Let me show you what it means to be an Emperor Immortal. Tianyu Dragon Lord just trembled, and Wu Yu saw a blue sphere falling off from his divine dragon body and meeting his golden fire heavenly rules training. Emperor's magical power, Lan Kong. Tianyu Longzun let out a light drink, and then he saw the blue sphere explode instantly when it hit Wu Yu's golden fire ruler. Inside the blue sphere, there turned out to be a huge world. It exploded at this moment, shattering the void in that area and swallowing up Wu Yu's golden and fire heavenly rules. For the first time, the forces of the two sides faced each other head-on. But Wu Yu failed miserably. The golden fire heavenly rules, even the golden fire heavenly rules that had been enhanced to the extreme with his magical power to control heaven and earth, had such terrifying power that they were easily broken by Tianyu Longzun. Not only that, more and more blue spheres appeared on the dragon body of Tianyu Dragon Lord, falling in the direction of Wu Yu, and exploded when they got close to him. These spheres are the imperial power of Tianyu Longzun, blue sky. Each blue sphere is a huge world. Once it explodes, it will shatter with the nearby void. If Wu Yu was hit by these blue spheres on the spot, even his indestructible body would not be able to withstand the explosion of the spheres, so he would have no choice but to avoid it first, even with somersault clouds, which would be dangerous. Only then was he able to dodge, and was almost completely covered by the opponent's blue sphere. Wu Yu fled far away and saw the void in the area where he was originally shattered. This was the real attack method of the Immortal Emperor. The methods used by Tianxin Dragon Emperor to capture him before were not so terrifying in comparison. This was because Wu Yu faced the Emperor Immortal's ability directly this time, instead of escaping directly like before. The strength of the Emperor Immortal is too strong. Just one exchange of moves made Wu Yu break into a cold sweat. Tianyu Longzun's strength was beyond his expectation. It seemed that when he faced the Eternal Emperor Immortal before, he had been avoiding it and had not realized the true terror of the Emperor Immortal. Now, with just one move of the imperial power, the blue sphere can break Wu Yu's indestructible body thousands of times. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1650. In a head-on confrontation, Wu Yu was completely at a disadvantage. Even though he was prepared in his heart, Wu Yu was still a little shocked. The fighting power of the immortal Emperor Immortal was much more powerful than that of the immortal king. Just a casual imperial divine power could push Wu Yu to a dead end without avoiding it. There is only a dead end. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. During this confrontation between the two sides, the surrounding Dragon Emperor and Dragon Lords were completely in control of the situation. They all laughed. I originally thought that I could witness the birth of a super talented immortal, but now it seems that it is nothing more than that. Yes, in the realm of the immortal king, it is impossible to fight against the Emperor Immortal. I thought this boy could create miracles. It seems that I was overthinking it. He was completely suppressed in just one encounter. It is basically impossible for Wu Yu to defeat Tianyu Dragon Lord. Basically no one among the many Dragon Emperors and Dragon Lords had any other opinions, and they all had this opinion. There were only Wu Jun and Luo Bin in the field. The two of them stared closely at the field and did not miss any detail. They found that Wu Yu was indeed under a lot of pressure, but it was still too early to say that he was defeated like this. Woolen cloth. At least Wu Yu can persist for a long time even if he uses Somersault Cloud's magical power to deal with Tianyu Dragon Lord. It depends on whether Wu Yu can come up with any way to defeat Tianyu Dragon Lord during this time. It was indeed very difficult for Wu Yu to win this battle, but once, when Wu Yu was still immortal, he had fought against the ancient Emperor Yan and Huang, and finally won. So Luo Bin insisted that nothing was impossible for Wu Yu. She didn't make a sound, but looked at the field nervously. All her thoughts were affected by every move of both parties in the field. Why, you just dodge like that? How can you defeat me by hiding like this? Tianyu Dragon Lord had a sneer in his divine dragon eyes, staring at Wu Yu who used somersault clouds to dodge with some disdain. He just used one of his imperial magical powers, and Wu Yu couldn't resist it. So what else did he have to be afraid of? The immortal king is the immortal king, and the Emperor Immortal is the Emperor Immortal. The gap in strength between the two is absolutely insurmountable. Now, Tianyu Longzun is even more certain of this. Originally, Tianyu Longzun felt that even if Wu Yu couldn't defeat him, he could really be regarded as a genius. However, if this genius could transcend the levels of Immortal King and Emperor Immortal to defeat him, he had never been very good at it. Believe, even more firmly now. It's still early to tell the winner, don't get too happy too early. Wu Yu looked calm and did not panic at all. The power of the Immortal was beyond his imagination and caught him off guard, but this did not allow him to admit defeat directly. This battle was too important to him. He could only win, not lose, so he would persevere to the end no matter what. Outlaw Clone. Clone Heavenly Rules. Wu Yu's next moment, the bodies of the golden apes suddenly spread towards the surroundings, and millions of clones of the golden apes instantly appeared in the field. These clones suddenly filled the space in the void. Immediately afterwards, these millions of clones burst out with the power of the clone heavenly rules almost at the same time, forming a terrifying beam of light in the void, and instantly descended on the head of Yulongzun that day. This clone heavenly rule beam was cast by millions of clones gathered together. If the ordinary Nine Heavens Immortal King or Nine Heavens Demon King were hit, they would definitely end up being wiped out in ashes on the spot, leaving no room for struggle. This is also one of the strongest methods that Wu Yu can use now. Snort. Seeing this, Tianyu Longzun didn't take the clone's heavenly beam into consideration at all. The divine dragon's body suddenly flew into the air, and then the white clouds around its body turned into white flames, moving towards the beam. The light beams of the clones gathered together. These white flames burned in the void, burning every corner of the void. Everything in the void, even the clone's sky beam, was burned out in a short time. Emperor's magical power, Calamity Fire. Tianyu Longzun's indifferent voice sounded. This was another of his imperial magical powers, turning white clouds into calamity fire. Even other people's magical powers could surround them with calamity fire and refine them into the power of nothingness. Not to mention the magical power of the seven heavenly immortal king, for Tianyu Longzun, there is no pressure at all to refine the power of the clone's heavenly rules. Of course, he could still feel that Wu Yu's clone's heavenly beam contained quite terrifying power. If he were in the realm of an ordinary nine heavens immortal king, he would not be able to withstand Wu Yu's offensive. It's a pity that Wu Yu is looking for death and wants to fight with an emperor like him. Boy, you are not weak. I am afraid you will have few opponents among the Emperor Immortals. Unfortunately, all Emperor Immortals are ants. It is the worst decision for you to provoke me. How can I, the Emperor Immortal of the Divine Dragon clan, be defeated? Defeated by an ordinary immortal? Tianyu Longzun snorted coldly. He had been very relaxed until now. It could be said that he was suppressing Wu Yu. However, he also knew that Wu Yu was very capable of escaping. It might not be that easy for him to really defeat Wu Yu, so while fighting, he used words to taunt Wu Yu and hit Wu Yu. If he could defeat Wu Yu with words, if the fighting spirit is broken, then he can spend less effort. It's a pity that how could Wu Yu's fighting spirit be conveyed with words alone? Even because of what Tianyu Longzun said, Wu Yu's heart was burning with blood, allowing him to burst out with stronger power and stimulate his potential faster. Because, he must win this battle. Calamity fire, extinguish. Tianyu Longzun saw the unyielding expression on Wu Yu's golden ape body, and was extremely angry. Countless white clouds quickly appeared around the entire dragon body. These white clouds moved towards Wu Yu in an instant and surrounded Wu Yu. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Immediately afterwards, these white clouds rose up with rolling white flames, and the Emperor's magical power calamity fire surrounded Wu Yu at this moment. Countless white flames burned the void, and even burned Wu Yu's golden ape body to ashes. But Wu Yu did not retreat at all. This time he did not retreat, but instead went forward. His whole body was covered with a layer of red flesh and blood. The power of the heavenly rules was like a layer of red mist covering his whole body, making him look a little violent and agitated. With the blessing of the power of the flesh and blood, his whole body became extremely hard. Even when he was burned by the opponent's calamity fire Emperor Dao divine power, he could not retreat in the slightest. Emperor Dao divine power, so what? Wu Yu roared, and rushed violently in the void. In the void burning with endless white calamity fire, he rushed around and finally rushed out of that area after a moment. He did not use the somersault cloud, just to temper his willpower in such a calamity fire divine power and deepen his intention to fight against Tianyu Longzun. When he rushed out of the calamity fire void, the flesh and blood rules around Wu Yu were almost burned out, and even his Vajra indestructible body was still attached with wisps of white flames, which continued to burn on his body, but could not break through his Vajra indestructible body's further defense. What? Seeing that Wu Yu could actually rush out of his calamity fire void with his physical body, Tianyu Dragon Lord couldn't help but change color. Although Wu Yu seemed to be seriously injured, his momentum changed from being completely suppressed by him, making Wu Yu's fighting spirit become high. Even the Dragon Emperors and Dragon Lords watching the battle around were now looking at him sideways. Regardless of whether Wu Yu could win this battle, it was not easy for a seventh heavenly immortal king to rush out alive from the Emperor Immortal's Emperor Dao divine power. This kid, if given time, can really achieve great things. It's a pity that he is too popular and offended people who can't afford to offend too early. He is destined to fall halfway. Many Dragon Emperors and Dragon Lords thought so in their hearts. As long as Wu Yu didn't defeat the Emperor Immortal, he would be like a rat crossing the street in the heavenly court. It would be impossible for him to appear openly. What's more, how could the ancient giant spirit god be an ordinary immortal emperor? If they really had to fight, Tianyu Dragon Lord would never be the opponent of the ancient giant spirit god. Although they were both immortal emperors, there was still a big gap between them. If Wu Yu could defeat Tianyu Dragon Lord, he would be considered to have reached the threshold of the Emperor Immortal, but even this threshold seemed extremely difficult to cross now. In the process of fighting with Tianyu Dragon Lord, the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Lords found that Wu Yu was completely at a disadvantage. Just now, he forced his flesh and blood to rush out, and it could be seen that his flesh was on the verge of collapse, and it would never happen again. Although Wu Yu showed amazing willpower, in their opinion, willpower could not make Wu Yu win in the end. The forced sprint just now only accelerated the time of his defeat. But Wu Yu himself did not think so. If he continued to dodge just now, he would probably lose the courage to face the Emperor Immortal again, so even if he was injured, he had to face the opponent's Emperor's magical power Calamity Fire. This made his fighting spirit boil up. Battle Heavenly Rule. Wu Yu's fighting spirit was unprecedentedly high, and the Battle Heavenly Rule he had comprehended rose up. The power of this heavenly rule could only become stronger and stronger in battle, so he just forced a direct attack on the Calamity Fire in order to enhance his Battle Heavenly Rule. Otherwise, the Battle Heavenly Rule would not improve him as much as the Flesh and Blood Heavenly Rule. However, now, under the outbreak of the Battle Heavenly Rule, his strength was much stronger than before. The next moment, two golden rays of light shot out from the pupils of his golden ape body. This was the power of his golden eye heavenly rule. At this moment, under the blessing of the Battle Heavenly Rule, the two rays of the golden eye heavenly rule instantly penetrated the void and shot straight towards Tianyu Dragon Lord. The power seems to have increased, but you want to defeat me with this? Dream on. Tianyu Dragon Lord was slightly surprised, and then snorted coldly, and the dragon body wandered in the void. Facing Wu Yu's golden eye heavenly rule, he was finally ready to use the Emperor's magic.